sister has it. You have that power too.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my Star Wars Force Awakens breakdown and review and ideas of what I really think could have improved this movie. Forewarning, do not watch this video if you have not seen the movie. I appreciate you trying to watch this, but please don't watch this until you've seen the movie. I do want you guys to all see it without seeing the spoilers first, which I know is very difficult with all the people ruining it online. Now that you've been warned, let me explain something. I am going to go step by step of what happened in this movie from the beginning to the end. I'm going to explain everything that happened, what I liked, what I didn't like, and how I would have changed certain things. And at any point when you see me say something, if you agree or disagree with me, comment below, let me know why. Also, if you like my idea, let me know. Also, if you had your own ideas of how you would have changed certain aspects of this movie, please comment and let me know. Also, if you're new to this channel, please remember to subscribe. Also, I want to start off with saying, did anyone else notice that scene from the trailer where he's walking in the woods and then shoots the lightsaber out wasn't even in the movie?
The dark side.
And also a little comment before I begin, where the fuck are the Force ghosts? You know, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker, yeah, they're all dead, but do you remember Return of the Jedi? They're all Force ghosts. They could have been in this movie. Why the hell aren't they? Anyways, let's begin. Okay, so this movie opens up with the classic opening scroll, right? It basically explains the plot of the movie, which is this. Basically, Luke Skywalker has disappeared, and we don't know why. And people are trying to find him. The remnants of the Empire has become the First Order. The Republic is still around, and they have a rebellion against the First Order. Pretty simple and sweet, and I liked it. So this movie starts off right away with Poe meeting this old dude who has a map to Luke, supposedly, right? Now, we don't know how he got the map, why he has the map, how the rebellion found out this guy has this map, or how conveniently the First Order also found out this guy has a map, all at the same time. I was hoping we'd find out a little bit more about that and have a little bit more explanation, because it starts off right there, and you don't really know how all these things are coming together to create this really convenient conflict at the beginning of the movie. Now, assuming you've seen the movie and you know everything already, let me explain to you how I think the movie should have started. I think the movie should have started off with a flashback of Finn as a little kid, happy with his family, being taken away by the First Order, maybe show a little montage of him being brainwashed and kind of being embedded into the First Order against his will. Kind of like in the movie Blood Diamond, or as we know, like Africans who get taken away from their family and being forced into, hold guns and like do things they don't want to do, and they're just kind of brainwashed into doing that. Maybe even show him have a friendly relationship with some of the other stormtroopers, maybe as kids, as they're growing, going through training together. It doesn't have to be a super long thing, just add like 5 minutes at the beginning of the movie kind of showing this. Then kind of throw in something in there showing how they figured out that the map is on Jakku. Then jump to the scene that we really started with the movie with, and also have that old guy explain a little bit more of how he came to have this map, and have him just explain a little bit more of the backstory, because there's a 30-year gap here, and the guy obviously knows a lot. Have him start explaining some stuff, and right as we're getting interested, that's when the First Order comes in and kind of ruins this conversation and makes us want more. So basically, to continue off where the movie really took place, BB-8 is given the map, and Poe basically tells him, get far away from here and wait for me, I'll find you later. And then Kylo Ren shows up, Phasma shows up, the stormtrooper who later we find out is Finn shows up, and this is what we find out later to be Finn's first real battle. And you can tell he's being kind of traumatized by what's going on. It's the first time we really see a stormtrooper's perspective, and he's seeing all these gunshots go off. One of the other stormtroopers dies and leaves like a bloody handprint on his face mask. Now, had they started with what I said, where maybe he became friends with some of them, maybe that would have been somebody he knew and we kind of saw he had a relationship with, and it would have been way more emotionally impactful when that guy died and showed why it's messing him up so much. Now, we're first introduced to Kylo Ren, and at first, I swear, he was such a badass, man. He had a cool mask, he had a cool voice. When he first turns on that lightsaber, it just feels powerful, it's just like, and then he kills that old dude with one swipe, bam! And then he basically orders the rest of that town to just be slaughtered. Just fucking kill him. Now, the only issue I had with this scene really is the fact that this old dude, before he gets killed by Kylo Ren, basically seems kind of like he knows him, right? It seems like he's kind of disappointed in this guy and kind of says something along the lines of, you know what family you come from. And to me, that's giving away way too much. Right off the bat, you know this guy's from an important family. Who's the important family? The Skywalkers. So right away, you know he's probably either Luke or Leia's kid. And I really didn't like that. They should have waited for that reveal till a much later scene that I'll get into later. And they could have left him way more mysterious off the bat, wondering like, who is this dude? Why is he so evil? Now, one thing I loved about this scene is, Poe, he shoots this laser at him, and Kylo's just like, poof, and holds this laser like mid-flight, and I've never seen that in a Star Wars movie before. And it looks like Kylo Ren's not even trying. I mean, he's not even like holding his hand up the whole time in this laser. You see Poe, basically get captured, and he sees this laser just sitting there, and you're like, holy crap. And it's not until they basically leave that the laser's finally just like, bam! That was badass and intimidating, and I loved that. And then next scene, we're introduced to Rey, and she's scavenging in that ship. You pretty much see the scene in the trailer. She's getting some random parts, and then she goes and she's basically trying to survive. She's basically getting little bits of food and these little portions of things for all these things she salvages for this guy who's obviously ripping her off in some way. And then we see her marking off a bunch of tick marks on the wall, obviously waiting for something. And it kind of reminds us of Luke Skywalker, like she wants more out of life. Then we go back to Poe and Kylo Ren on the ship, and he's not using the Force choke, but he's using something similar where it's like he's crushing his mind or getting into his head or doing something powerful. You see his hand up there. You see that scene in the trailer too. And he's just torturing Poe. And he seems pretty resistant at first, but obviously he gets the information out of him, and he figures out that this little BB-8 droid has the map to Luke. Then we also see Finn up there, and he takes off his mask, and it's the first time you really see him, and he's obviously scared. And then we're kind of introduced to Phasma a little bit more, and she's basically like, who gave you permission to take off your mask? Put it back on, and she kind of walks off. He puts his mask back on, and you can tell he doesn't like what's going on here. And again, if we had had a little bit more backstory of that, like I said at the beginning, a little bit more introduction of him, that would have been more impactful. Next thing you know, Finn is asked to escort Poe to some other place, but along the way, he kind of pulls him aside and basically says, hey, I'm going to help you escape. So they get on this TIE fighter and they try to escape, and they're kind of stuck on this little this little rope thing. And then Finn, he's basically having to kill the stormtroopers, to kind of give Poe time to rip off of it. And again, if we had a little bit more backstory, it might have been a little bit more impactful, because he'd be killing his friends, and you'd see his friends like, what the heck's he doing? Why is he turning against us? And kind of like, you see this big conflict of these friends turning against each other. And one issue I had with this scene, and a lot of movies do this, it's not just Star Wars, it seems like if a pilot is a pilot, they can just magically fly any aircraft. He even says, I've never flown one of these before, I've always wanted to. And what's he doing? He's like explaining to Finn, who's the stormtrooper, how to operate stuff. It's like, dude, how do you know all this? I didn't buy that at all. So they do escape, and then they end up getting shot, and they crash land on Jakku. Now Finn thinks Poe died. He sees the crashed ship, and he grabs his jacket out of there, and the ship basically gets sunk into the sand by some monster or something. And Finn thinks Poe dies, and we don't see Poe again until pretty much near the end of the movie. And one thing about that scene that it does is it does confirm one of the rumors that I put in my theories video, which if you click on that eye, I'm going to reference it a few times. Click on that eye and you can see my theories video. I reference in there the fact that people were saying it looks like Finn's wearing Poe's jacket in the movie. Now during the course of this, we also see Rey meet BB-8, and she kind of gets along with him. She kind of thinks he's a cool little dude. Someone offers to buy him from her and offer all this stuff, and she's kind of excited, but then realizes BB-8's a cool little dude. I'm not going to sell him. And right away, I felt like BB-8 was a great new addition. He's kind of like the new R2-D2. I really liked BB-8 because they extracted the information from Poe. Obviously, the First Order is trying to find this droid. Someone kind of attacks her, and Finn sees her getting attacked and tries to go start to defend her, but then she kicks their asses. She looks at him, she looks pissed off, and then she starts chasing him, and he kind of runs away, and she attacks him, and it was kind of a funny scene. And it was because BB-8 noticed the jacket. They thought maybe he did something to him. But then he kind of lies and says, I'm part of the rebellion. Poe didn't make it, hey, I'll help you get your droid to the rebellion, even though he's lying. Then all of a sudden the First Order sweeps in, and they're attacking him, and they're getting shot at, and they kind of have these funny moments where Finn would like grab her hand and start running, and she's like, let go of my hand, and they had a few of those moments that were kind of funny. But ultimately they're running away. And then a scene that I do love is when You know, Finn's like, hey, let's go to that ship. You don't see what ship he's pointing at. She's like, no, that ship's a piece of junk. Let's go to this ship. And that ship blows up. And she's like, okay, let's go to the other ship. And you turn, and what do you see? The Millennium Falcon. Oh, that was great. I got a great kick out of that. It was a great introduction to our first piece of nostalgia. But again, someone who's never piloted this ship, suddenly she takes off. Yeah, she has a little rough start, but then she's piloting this ship like a freaking expert, all really low to the ground, and they get away. Of course, she's a pilot, so she magically knows how to fly everything. Now, the scene was pretty exciting, and it was entertaining. I just didn't buy the fact that she was piloting the ship when she'd never flown it before. Now, they do finally get away. They're in space, and then they get captured. At first, they think it's the First Order, but then what do we see? We see Han Solo and Chewie show up, and that's that part where you see him go, Chewie, we're home. And we find out the Millennium Falcon was stolen from him. Now, I found that to be a weak bit of storytelling. It was way too convenient that he had this ship stolen, happened to be on the planet that she was on. They happened to get on that ship. She happens to know how to fly it. They happen to run in the entire freaking universe, and they happen to be run right into each other. That was way too convenient. And then the next 10 to 15 minutes of the movie I found completely dumb and pointless. You basically have these two groups of people that want money from Han Solo because he captured these monsters for both of them and was going to try to profit off both of them, and they both want him. And then Rey accidentally releases these monsters that were completely CGI and kind of silly looking, and the acting on the parts of these two groups were just kind of corny and silly, and I didn't really buy them. It was just kind of took me out of the movie for a minute because it was just kind of pointless. And these monsters are attacking these groups of people, and then they're running away from the monsters, and then they end up getting in the ship and basically running away. And then, of course, after they take off, Rey conveniently fixes the light speed drive, whatever, because she just like, oh, I fixed things, even though I don't know anything about the electronics on the ship or how it works. I'm super smart, and I'm a pilot, so I know how to fix it. I like Han Solo's character because he's been flying this thing for so long, and the whole time he's getting pissed off, like, why isn't this thing working? And da-da-da-da. And him and, Chewie have this banter back and forth and argue when they're piloting and stuff, and it's just way better. She just conveniently did stuff. Now, during the sequence right before they escaped, Chewie had got shot and he's kind of hurt. There's a sequence where Finn's basically trying to bandage him up, and that part's kind of funny because there's a bunch of banter between all four of these characters, and I think they did have really good chemistry between each other, and there's a lot of comedy in this movie, and that comedy really works for me. I was laughing a lot. And they even throw some nostalgia in there, like the little claymation chess game from the original series. And then we see the scene that we're all kind of waiting for, where BB-8 basically projects the map that he has, right? And Han explains to our new characters what the Force is, and that it's real. It's a real thing. It's not just a legend. Luke Skywalker is real. And that this map they have is only a partial part of the map. They need to find the rest of the map in order to find Luke. Because again, the big plot of this movie is to find Luke. Like, where is Carmen Sandiego? Where's Luke Skywalker? So Han says, we gotta go see Max Kanata. Then we cut to the sequence where Kylo Ren is informed that the droid got away with the map, and he has this childish outburst where he lashes out with his lightsaber and he's all pissed off, and it's actually a really funny scene. I laughed my butt off, but it kind of reminded me of the childish outburst of someone else. And then he's told about the girl and the Millennium Falcon, and basically they're gonna go chase him. Then we get to this new planet, this much greener planet, and they go into kind of this bar club area, and it's obviously trying to pay homage to the original movie of A New Hope. In that bar cantina scene, the whole one where it's like da 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 da. Only this bar doesn't have nearly as catchy music, and it's not nearly as memorable, but I did appreciate the fact that they're trying to pay homage to the original. And then we meet Max Kanata, who's another full CGI character, which really didn't need to be CGI. They could have just had another puppet. And they actually cut out a lot of her scenes because originally she was kind of supposed to be like the new Yoda character, but apparently they didn't like the motion capture of the actress who did her, and they thought it was just kind of stiff and stuff, and so they cut out a lot of her part, which I'm really glad they did, because I was not a fan of Max Kanata. She had these big old glasses and was kind of like silly. But beyond Max Kanata, one of the big reveals we have at some point is that basically Luke Skywalker basically tried to start a new Jedi Order, which is kind of a cool idea, right? I mean, he defeated the Empire, now he's trying to start his new Jedi Order, but somewhere along the lines, one of his pupils turned to the dark side. Kylo Ren, right? So now that's why he went into hiding. We don't know the full details of it, but I liked this reveal because it's actually one of the things I predicted in my theories video. Click the I if you want to go hear that part. But that's one thing I never heard a lot of people suggest when they were coming up with theories for this. I felt kind of cool when I heard that because I was like, I totally called that. I just think it's cool that basically Luke started the Knights of Ren and it basically went bad. I really wish they would have gone into more details with that or had a flashback or something to kind of develop Kylo Ren's character with that discussion of that happening. Hopefully they'll do it in the next movie. I really wish they would have done it in this movie though. But anyways, at this point, Finn basically comes clean that he's not part of the Resistance. He was part of the First Order. They're really bad. He wants to get away as far as possible, and basically he's trying to ditch them. He talks to a couple other people at the bar, basically saying, I want to get out of here. You can kind of tell Rey feels a little bit betrayed by that. Not that he was part of the First Order, but that he still wants to leave and not finish the mission of getting the droid to the Resistance. And at this point, I really thought, even more than before, Finn was really coming off big wimp. I mean, I'm sure more along in the next few movies, he'll develop more and become not as much of a wimp, but considering he's the first stormtrooper in history that we've ever seen that basically ditched out in battle, and he's always freaking out and having panic attacks, he's always running away. He's funny, again, I think he's a funny character, he's a good actor, but his character is not strong. Even Maz Kanata basically says, she looks into his eyes and basically says, yeah, you have those eyes of someone that likes to run away, or something along those lines. So at this point, Rey, she hears like a voice or a kid or something, and she goes downstairs and she sees this box and she opens it up and it's a lightsaber. She touches it and she kind of has this crazy vision where she sees the Knights of Ren, she sees Luke's hand on R2-D2, she sees a bunch of crazy stuff and kind of freaks out a little bit. I thought it was kind of weird that the lightsaber was in such plain view. Anybody could have just gone down there and grabbed it. I mean, it wasn't locked up or anything. Literally anybody could have gone down there and grabbed it. Also in her vision, I forgot to mention, you also see her parents leaving. You don't see the people, but you see the ship taking off. Maz Kanata basically explains it's Luke's lightsaber, and how she got it is another story to be told. Again, another one of those things, they just don't explain anything. It's just conveniently for the story, she happens to have Luke's lightsaber, and she gives Rey the lightsaber, but she basically wants nothing to do with it and runs away. So instead, Maz Kanata gives the lightsaber to Finn and basically says, give this to your friend. Now, because Maz was trying to give Rey the lightsaber, a lot of people theorized, it must be Luke's daughter. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. I don't think there was nearly enough information to clearly define her as Luke's daughter. And Maz basically says, whoever she's waiting for is not coming back, but there is something else out there for her. To me, she just has random parents out there somewhere. The Force isn't a DNA thing that has to be passed down genetically, at least they've never explained it in that way. So I don't think Luke is her father. My point is there's not enough information to know. Now, while all of this is going on, General Hux, he's out there giving this big speech to all these stormtroopers. This big planet-sized Death Star unleashes its power and destroys like multiple planets at a time. On one hand, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really neat seeing this huge thing that's not just destroying one planet, but multiple planets. It's basically destroying an entire galaxy all at once. But I had more problems than pros with that. My problem is, one, General Hux is annoying as crap to me. Something about the guy's voice, he just seems so annoying. Every time he talked, I just wanted him to shut up. He wasn't inspiring. He wasn't someone that you wanted to fear when he's giving his speech. It was just like, shut up, dude. Also, there was no emotional impact when those planets destroyed. In the original trilogy, when Alderaan was destroyed, that was Leia's home planet. It was like, oh my god, she basically gave up a bunch of information so that he wouldn't destroy this planet, and then he did anyways, and it was like, oh my god. But in this one, it's like, let's just randomly destroy some planets, and you didn't know anything about those planets, you didn't even know what they were called, nothing. You see the people die on them, and it's like, that sucks. They could have really built up, maybe some of the characters were from those planets, or explained there was something on those planets that were of value, or something. Give us something more. Now, at the bar, there was one group of people that basically told the First Order, hey, these people are here with the droid, and also someone told the Resistance, hey, someone's here with the droid. So again, another convenient time where everybody knows about everything at the exact same time to create a battle. The First Order's on their way, the Resistance is on the way, and a battle ensues. Now, we also see Snoke talking to Kylo Ren. I think it was around this point where we find out for sure Han Solo is Kylo Ren's dad. And we hear Kylo Ren talking about how he's being tempted with the light side. And I thought that was a really interesting dynamic, because usually it's the other way around, right? Usually it's someone on the light side being tempted toward the darkness. Here we have a guy in the darkness feeling tempted towards the light. I thought that was an interesting switch up. But I think it was way too early to give up that Han Solo was his dad. We already pretty much knew he was a Skywalker from the beginning of the movie. Now we know for sure Han Solo is his dad. there's never any mystery to this character, other than knowing for sure why he changed to the dark side. That's the only real mystery. So back on the planet, there's a battle ensuing. They're fighting the stormtroopers, all that jazz. Finn whips out the lightsaber for the first time and basically, I think he kills a couple stormtroopers, and then he fights this one stormtrooper that whips out this weapon that's basically fighting a lightsaber. I'm curious why this stormtrooper even had this weapon. He seems to be the only one that had it, and from my understanding and the way they make it seem in the movie is nobody really uses lightsabers anymore, so why did he even have that weapon? But regardless, it stops the lightsaber. Han ends up killing the guy. I really think they should not have used that weapon there. I think they should have used that lightsaber shield thing later, and I'll explain that. Now, on a separate part of the planet, Rey's running away from Kylo Ren. He basically finds her. He uses the Force on her, and basically holds her still, and she's kind of locked up. That was kind of cool. Again, showing Kylo Ren does know how to use the Force. Unlike a lot of people saying online, oh, he's like this Jedi that's really not that strong. He just appeared to be. This guy can stop a laser mid-flight. He can stop people. He knows how to frickin' use the Force. And he basically decides that since she's seen the map, he doesn't need the robot. He can just extract the information from her. So he captures her. Finn sees her get captured, and he can't do anything to stop it. So he knows, hey, we gotta go rescue her. We also see Poe as the best pilot ever, zooming around, destroying TIE fighters, and he really lives up to his name. That was kind of cool. Finn's even like, damn, that's a cool fighter pilot. And he's just laying waste to shit. And that was pretty cool to finally see Poe in action like that. Now, during this whole scuffle, Maz Kanata basically disappears, and we completely forget about her character. Nobody asks about her. She's just gone, which I thought was kind of weird. They should have at least shown her running away, or someone show her get killed or something. Leia shows up. Han, meets her again. They kind of have this connection again, because they're Han and Leia. And Han mentions, I saw our son. Again, I don't think this should have been mentioned yet. We should have seen this from Finn's perspective, seen them talking about something serious, embrace, and we know they're talking about something, but we don't know what. And again, that information should have been saved till later, and I'll get to that still. So it goes back to the First Order ship, and it shows Kylo Ren using that same Force thing that he was doing on Poe earlier, trying to extract information from her. And at first she's like, oh, but then suddenly she taps into the Force, and she's able to resist him. On one hand, I thought this was really cool. You start to see Kylo Ren get kind of fearful, like, wait a minute, why is this not working? He's never really had to fight another person with the Force in the movie that we've seen. And he's starting to get kind of freaked out, and she's just resisting him. It seems like she's not even really trying. She's just totally, basically overpowering him. So while I thought that was cool, I also found it very unrealistic. Just moments earlier, she was basically saying she wants to have nothing to do with this. She didn't even know what the Force was until, a few days earlier. And now all of a sudden she's able to overpower this, super powerful character? No. And up to this point, we haven't seen Kylo Ren without his mask. She points out, you just want to be as good as Vader, and you never will be, and you're scared and all this stuff. And at that point, he takes off his mask, and at that point, I really started to kind of lose him as one of my favorite characters, because up to that point I thought he was a badass. All of a sudden now he's being overpowered by Rey, which I found to be unrealistic. He pulls off his mask and he looks like this scrawny dude, basically turns into Anakin Skywalker from the original 1, 2, and 3, this basically whiny crybaby character. And he leaves the room and basically tells Snoke, I wasn't able to get the info from her. Hux is kind of telling on him too, basically saying, yeah, he didn't. And you can see Kylo Ren look at him like, I just want to fucking kill you because you're annoying as shit. And he is annoying as shit. General Hux is so effing annoying. He's like the spoiled, rotten, rich kid, tattletale. Oh, I hated that character. And not in a good Star Wars, ooh, I hated that character kind of way. More like, no, I fucking hated that character. They needed to use someone way more scary, way more intimidating. I just think that casting choice was bad for him. Then while that's going on, Daniel Craig from the 007 movies has his cameo. He was the stormtrooper that basically Rey is all tied up, and she says, you're going to let me out of these restraints and leave the room. And he comes over, and he's like, what? And she's like, you're going to undo these restraints and leave the room. Trying to use that whole Force thing on him. And at first I loved it because he's like, I'll make those things fucking tighter. So I was like, oh good, she wasn't able to use the Force properly there. That makes more sense. But then of course again she says it one more time, and it's a funny scene because he lets her go and leaves and drops his gun. And it was funny, but again I found it so unrealistic that this girl who doesn't barely have any training with the Force is suddenly able to do all these things that every other Jedi in history seems to have to train to be able to do. And I've heard people give the excuse, yeah, but she's Luke's daughter or well, whatever. I've heard a bunch of different reasons. I don't care. Even if she is supposed to be really good at the Force, you don't make her that good that quickly. Give her a training thing. Give her something, some sort of development. Because where does she go from here? She already basically knows how to use the Force better than this character who's been doing it for a super long time. It was one of the things that just drove me nuts in this movie. And Kylo Ren goes back in there to basically get her to bring to Snoke, but she's gone. And so again, he has this outburst where he goes laying to waste with his lightsaber, and these stormtroopers stop and turn around. And it was hilarious. But again, it took away from Kylo Ren's badassness and just added to his childness, Anakin Skywalker from the 1, 2, and 3 again. Meanwhile, the Rebels basically plan they gotta take out this planet-sized Death Star, just like the original trilogy. Some people didn't like the fact that this was basically a rehash of A New Hope. It didn't bother me that much. The only thing that bothered me is that this is their third Death Star, basically, and they haven't figured out, maybe we should make it so there's not just one point of weakness. They point out on this big map, yeah, if we blow up this little spot here, it'll destroy the whole thing. Like, come on, bad guys. Like, you gotta develop something a little bit stronger. But so they go there to get through the shields, they light speed through and pull up and basically crash land on this planet, and Kylo Ren, senses that his dad's there. And at this point, Finn basically admits he didn't know how to shut down the shields, because the only reason they went there is because Finn said, oh, I know how to shut that thing down. But they get there, Han Solo finds out he's really just there to save Rey, and kind of says, we'll figure it out. So the way they figure it out, they find Captain Phasma, hold her at gunpoint, and basically say, shut down the shields or we'll kill you. So, like a little pussy, she goes in there and shuts down the shields. You don't think this will work, do you? And then they threaten to throw her in the trash chute, and we never see her again. What a complete fucking waste of a character. How many people bought action figures of Captain Phasma and saw all the trailers, and it's played by Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones. This character's gonna be so cool. That character was such a fucking waste. But it brings me to what I think they should have done and what would have made Captain Phasma a fucking badass. Remember earlier how I mentioned that Stormtrooper had that lightsaber shield electric thing? If they wouldn't have used it then, give it to Captain Phasma. They put her at gunpoint, say, shut down the shields. She pretends like she's gonna shut down the shields, but then closes the door, locks Han Solo out of this room, and now it's just Finn and Captain Phasma in this room. So Finn kind of freaks out, turns on the lightsaber. Phasma whips out that electric thing, and now it's like this standoff between Phasma and Finn. And again, at the beginning of the movie, if they would have built up his character more, shown his training, maybe shown some respect between Phasma and him, or maybe shown her being mean towards him, they would have had more of a connection and a reason to butt heads, or two people that respected each other butting heads. And now they have this epic duel, right? He's trying to kill her with the lightsaber and she's using that thing, and they could have had a really epic duel with them, and maybe if they wanted to pay homage with the trash chute thing, maybe at the end of it he kicks her in the trash chute or something, and then she gets away to be used in the other movies. But the way they did it, it was just horrible. They could have made an epic, sweet, another lightsaber scene, and it would have made sense that Phasma had this electric thing, like the one unique character that had that weapon instead of some random stormtrooper. They fucked up that part of the writing. Please tell me, guys, don't you think that would have been a better idea? Comment below. Please tell me you agree with me on that. Because I just picture it, man. I picture him turning on that lightsaber, Phasma being like, and then they just fucking go at it. People would have been like, fuck! And meanwhile, while that's going on, BB-8 can pull the R2-D2 thing and, put a little thing in something and mess with the electronics, and that's what shuts down the shields. But for the real part of the movie, at this point, the X-Wings come in and they're having a battle, and it's kind of like the original trilogy, they're basically trying to blow up the right stuff. Han Solo sees Kylo Ren, runs out there, goes, Ben! But it wasn't like a big reveal because we already knew that was his kid. He turns around, he goes out there, Ben pulls off his mask and he's all emotional, crybaby Anakin again. He ends up killing Han Solo, he falls off, and I'm sorry, I think that was a complete failure, emotionless kill of Han Solo. They could have done it a million times better, and here's how. First of all, Leia's fucking useless in this movie. She doesn't do shit. Now, what they should have done is this. Leia should have came with them. Been like the original trilogy where she actually took part in some of the battles. Have her take out some stormtroopers with a laser gun. Pay some homage to the original trilogy that way. Then when Kylo Ren is walking out onto that bridge, if they had done it right, you wouldn't have any idea he's a Skywalker, any idea who he is. He wouldn't have taken his mask off. He's still a mysterious evil character. Have Han Solo come up and be like, Ben! And then you're kind of going, why is he calling him Ben? And he turns around and says, I'm not Ben anymore. I'm Kylo Ren. And then have Leia show up on the other side side of the bridge and be like, son, and then have him take off his mask. And then for the first time he takes off his mask, and for the first time you realize he's their kid. Everybody's minds would have been way more blown because this whole movie you would have had no idea about any of that, and it would have been the first time it was revealed. It would have been way more epic of a reveal that way. And so then Han Solo and Leia both start walking towards them on both sides of the bridge, basically starting to do that whole thing of like, you don't need to worry about this. Come back to us. Be part of our family again. And then for the first time, you start seeing him with some emotion, maybe some tears, and it would make more sense because both his parents are there, and this is the first time this is all kind of being figured out, and it would make more sense why he's showing emotion here instead of those childish outbursts earlier in the movie. And he warns them to stay back, but then Leia can't help it. She runs up and embraces him, and you see him kind of struggling with like, oh my god, should I be light side again, dark side, whatever. You kind of see that struggle in his face, and from the other side you see Han Solo kind of happy, like, oh man, our kid, maybe he's going to come back to us. But then what do you see? You see it from his angle, and you see Leia embracing him, and then you see her arms fall limp, and Han Solo's like, what the hell? And then you see him turn and kind of slide her off the lightsaber, and then Leia falls to her death. That would have been way more of an emotional impact, way more of a surprise. Han Solo would have been like, holy shit, what the fuck? And it would have made Leia's character actually useful in this movie. It would have shown him struggle with the good evil side, but then truly be evil when he kills her. And then Han starts going after him, starts trying to shoot him and stuff. Kylo Ren uses his lightsaber, Force pushes him back, Chewie freaks out, shoots him, and then Kylo Ren gets away. But we all know the only reason they did it the way they did it is because Harrison Ford doesn't want to be in these movies anymore, so they had to appease him, so they had to do it a dumb fucking way. He could have been in the rest of the movies trying to avenge his wife, avenge Leia, but at the same time he's going against his kid, so does he want to turn his kid good again, or does he want to kill his kid because his wife got murdered by him? That would have been way better. But no, Harrison Ford, he doesn't want to be in these movies anymore, so we got to kill Han Solo and make Leia fucking useless, and it was dumb. But so for the real movie, we cut to the Kylo Ren basically chasing Finn and Rey up in the snowy mountain area. And even though they've pretty much established Kylo Ren knows how to use the Force and he's somewhat of a badass when he has his mask on, and Finn's always running away and sucks fighting people, somehow Finn doesn't get murdered right off the bat. He actually stands his own for a little bit before getting sliced up, which I was glad he got sliced up because it was like, no, you should not be able to stand your own against this guy. Then we go to a scene that again is cool but unrealistic. Kylo Ren's trying to get the lightsaber and he's kind of struggling getting it, and then all of a sudden it flies past him and it goes poof, straight to Rey's hand. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But then on the other hand, in my mind, I'm still thinking, how is she able to overpower this guy with the Force? That does not make sense. No training whatsoever. Whatever, convenient for the movie. Then we have a pretty cool lightsaber fight. I actually liked it because it didn't seem so choreographed like the original movie. It was a little bit grittier and dark and rough, and they're kind of slicing at each other. And I believed her standing up to him with the fight a lot more than Finn, because they showed her earlier in the movie she knows how to fight, and Kylo Ren is probably way out of practice fighting anybody with a sword because usually nobody stands up to him. But she ends up basically kicking his ass and slicing his face before the planet kind of starts splitting in half and separates them. I really think it should have been the other way around, just because Kylo Ren should have been stronger than her and gave her a reason to train and do something in the next few movies. He should have been kicking her ass and sliced her face or something and been about to kill her, and the only thing that saves her is the planet splitting. I think they flipped-flopped that. I think it should have been the other way around. Also, personally, I see Rey kind of heading towards the dark side. The dark side is based on fear and anger and all that sort of stuff, and it seems like a lot throughout the movie, like when she's running away, she's always scared, she's fearful, she's angry. You can tell when she's fighting him, she just wants to fucking kill the dude. He even kind of senses that, I think, and offers to train her. So I think in the next couple movies, there's going to be an interesting dynamic where she's starting to go towards the dark side and he's actually drifting towards the light side. I think by the end of the trilogy, I think it's going to flip-flop. I think she's going to be dark and he's going to be light, and they're going to have a battle that way. That's just a complete guess, though. There's no real information to substantiate that. I just think that'd be kind of neat. But anyways, they get away, the good guys fly away, you assume some of the main bad guys are probably still alive, the planet explodes, and I'm still thinking, that planet fucking exploded way too fucking easy. That thing should have been lasting a couple episodes. There should have been way more that went into blowing that thing up or destroying the weapon or something. I felt no gratification like you did when the first Death Star blew up, and you're like, yeah! This one, the thing blew up, and you're like, whatever, cool. That was really easy to blow that thing up. Never felt like they really even struggled fighting the thing. Then Then we go to a scene where R2, who is in sleep mode since Luke Skywalker disappeared, conveniently just wake up after all of this happens, and he has the other piece to the map. Conveniently, it's this really easy two-piece map that kind of goes together to show us where Luke Skywalker is. Which, to be honest, I really don't know why you needed the other part of the map. You basically see a straight line of a dotted line that leads to where he is. You really only needed the piece that showed where he was, which BB-8 had the whole time. They could have just got cords to that planet and gone there. But I don't know how fucking star maps work. I could be wrong. It just seems like that was really convenient that he woke up. Oh, cool, now we can find Luke, now that all the other distractions are out of the way. And then now that they know where he is, they send Rey to go give him the lightsaber and go get him. Which didn't make any sense to me. Again, why wouldn't Leia go? It's her brother. She doesn't even know who Rey is. We've been looking for Luke Skywalker for like 30 years or whatever. Let's not go send anyone reliable. Let's go send this girl who nobody knows who the hell she is. Let's go send her to go get him. Whatever. And then you could kind of sense the end of the movie was coming, but I was really hoping something more would happen. Basically, she walks up this little mountainside and shows him the saber, and he turns around and he looks like this crusty old man that's like disheveled. He looks like he's a fucking homeless guy, like a crazy homeless man with amnesia. He's giving her this look like, and I really feel like they should have had one line of dialogue from the guy. Like that line from the trailer that was never in the movie, you know, where he's like, you know, my father has the power, I have the power, my sister has that power, you have that power too. Could you imagine how epic that would have been? It would have revealed, oh, it's her daughter. Oh, shoot, now the movie ended crazy. Or if he would have explained why he left, or leave us on some sort of other cliffhanger after he says something. Also, have him look a little bit more put together, not so fucking insane. Have him look wise, like he had been planning this all along or something, but he just looks kind of crazy, like, what are you doing here? I just find it hard to believe that this guy who basically destroyed Darth Vader, destroyed the Empire, you know, just runs away for so long, allowing everyone to be destroyed by the First Order and allowing this planet thing to destroy things. What? People can say things like, well, maybe he just couldn't face Han and Leia because Kylo Ren, you know, turned dark. Whatever, he should be like fucking going all force trying to turn him good again then. Look at all the stuff he did in the original trilogy. He's just gonna run away and pussy out? I don't think so. There better be a damn good reason why he left like that and didn't say anything to anybody and conveniently left some maps that conveniently came together at the right time. Like, it was just... I'm sorry, but you can say whatever you want. You're all fanboying out. There is a lot of plot holes to this. So my final thoughts on the movie. It might sound like I'm ripping this movie apart. I'm really not. I actually did enjoy this movie. Again, I gave it a friends with benefits because I want to see this movie over and over again. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I missed, a lot of stuff I misunderstood. I want to go see it again. The tone was awesome. It was definitely fucking entertaining, even if I didn't believe some of it. It was still entertaining. It was still funny. I liked the fight scenes. I liked the action. But as a reviewer, I have to do justice and be unbiased and give you real feedback on how I think they could have improved the story. But the entertainment value of it, the positives, definitely outweighed the plot holes and the negatives to the movie to me. So I do like the movie. Don't think I'm saying I don't like the movie or don't see the movie or something like that. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to point out to you, all of you people that are fanboying it, and let it pass on all the plot holes and stuff, and pass on the fact that some of the characters suck just because it's a Star Wars movie. You need to kind of focus in and realize, okay, this movie had some issues, still a good movie, but let's recognize what the issues are so that they don't repeat themselves in the next episodes. I'm just really bummed out that it had so much potential in so many areas and they wasted it. So please, comment below. Let me know what you think should have been changed, or if you liked my ideas for what should have been changed. I really want to know what you guys think of my opinions on this. Am I dead wrong? Am I just a fucking idiot? Or do you think like, hey, this guy is actually right? Again, another reminder, please subscribe and try to share this movie around to other people. I want to get everyone's opinions on this. Like the video if you agreed with me, dislike the video if you disagreed with me, and stick around after this if you want to see some more movie reviews. If you can handle it, go.